Morning. I hope you're having a good morning. What is today? What today is? Thursday. Today's Thursday, isn't it? Well, I just kind of snuck up on me a little bit, didn't it? Yep, just snuck up on me. So, ah, how are you doing? Hope you're having a good week. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good month. This month is almost over, the 26th. I just can't believe January has gone so fast this year. Maybe it's because we've had a little bit better weather. 2 years ago, we had that Siberian front that came through that was like 2 weeks long of miserable cold. I remember covering all of my windows with blankets, layers of blankets. I learned how to do it. I figured it out though for next time, right? So keep that fire going in the fireplace and all kinds of stuff. And then last year it was just back and forth, and this year's just been kind of mild, a few snowflakes here and there, right? And I think it just makes it feel a little bit better. It's not quite as hard on the soul when the outside is doing good, right? Anyway, I hope you've had a good month. Man, I can't believe it's already February. Almost already February. Next week, just a few days, less than a week away, right? So this morning, my mind took this a road trip. It's back. Rest easy is back, mostly. I was just started thinking about all the different people in the Bible, there's so many different stories in here, about all these different, and they're not just stories like fairy tale made up stories. They're about real people, real people who had real situations, who had real struggles, and who had a real encounter with God. Don't throw that part away, right? So I was thinking back because, I started with this early this morning. I was just like, God, I said, God, I just thank you that you're walking through time with me, right? That my life is not, and I was actually thinking about how big a mess my life can be, right? Just some different things. It's okay to step back and assess your life and see what things you need to change. That's a good thing, right? That's a good thing with a business. It's a good thing with an education. It's a good thing in a relationship. It's just a good thing to step back sometimes and go, oh, what's broken? What's working right? What do I need to fix? What do I need to toss? Right? And so that was kind of having one of those moments this morning. Okay, I gotta find a new balance here with some work, and this and that. How do I solve this? How do I solve that? And so I stepped back and I was like, man, I'm just kind of a mess most of the time, right? And so that got me to thinking though that God doesn't throw us away even when we feel like we're a mess. And then I started thinking about all the different characters in the Bible. We have I mean we've talked on here and in my devotion for caregivers, we talk a lot about Hagar and how God came to her twice, and she was in a rough situation. Some of it was her fault, some of it wasn't. She just kind of got caught, right? Talked about Jesus walking out to the disciples in the middle of a storm, you know, and Peter jumping out of the boat and putting him back in. Then he looked around. That's what I do. This is cool, God. We got this. Oh, look at that. And then we start to sink, right? But he picks us up every time and makes sure we're safe in the boat. And we'll call that boat faith if you want, right? And so, or hope, or whatever you need today, right? And so and then I started really thinking. I was like, you know what? There's not one person other than Jesus in the Bible that was perfect. Job was pretty good, but he wasn't perfect. But he was good, right? He was one. But look at what happened to him, right? He didn't have perfect circumstances by any means, and yet he continued with his faith in God, and God visited with him and told him, came and talked to him, and that was an amazing story too. And so I started thinking about David. God said David is a man after my own heart. David is the apple of my eye. But David, remember, we don't talk about the story of Bathsheba. David committed adultery, and then so that he could try to cover that sin when she came up pregnant, he had her husband killed so he could legally take her as his wife. I mean, he was king anyway, right? What a soap opera story, right? He wasn't perfect, and yet God said, I love this man. How cool is that? It also didn't disqualify him from becoming king. God didn't say, anoint him as king and then I'm going to take it away because now he took it away from Saul, all right? But Saul walked away from God. All right. So, but it didn't disqualify David from anything God wanted to do with him. Well, we can even talk about Abraham. Abraham was a friend of God, right? That's what it says. Abraham, my friend, he says. And yet Abraham lied when they went to a certain area. He lied about Sarah being his wife because he was out of fear. What? Abraham had fear? Oh my goodness. And yet God says he's my friend. And God didn't go, I'm not walking through life with you because you're just a mess. You're gonna lie. He didn't, even, and then I thought of Peter. Think of Peter. This is a New Testament example, right? And Jesus told him before he denied him. Let's see, before Peter denied Jesus, Jesus told Peter, when you are converted, when you get out of this and you're saved, go strengthen your brethren. And then later he said, go feed my sheep. So he didn't disqualify Peter, and Peter just flat out said, I don't even know him, out of fear, right? It was out of fear that he said he was afraid they would come for him next. And he said, I don't even know him. I don't know who he is. I don't know. And he had walked with Jesus and been close with Jesus and denied him, outright denied him. And Jesus still didn't disqualify Peter. Peter even wrote 2 books in the New Testament. Right? We have Peter all through Acts. God used Peter mightily. Peter was the one, it said that as he was walking down the road and his shadow fell on people, they were healed. Whoa. God did that through Peter after Peter denied him. Here's my whole point. God's not going to throw us away. If we feel like our life is a mess. Now look, if you feel like if you got everything together and your life is perfect and all of your proverbial ducks are in a row and you know where they are, and you know where to get them, and you don't have any problems just eating away at you, and you handle every situation with wisdom and grace, and you've got everything just like you need it in your life, you can go watch a different video. Because I'm talking to those of us today that sometimes feel like we have just screwed everything up. Right? I'm talking to those of us today that know we're not perfect. That maybe we've denied God with our actions or our words. Maybe we don't even know him yet. Right? Maybe we are just afraid we're going to mess everything up. I'm talking to those of us that don't have it all together. And I'm saying this. God doesn't throw anybody away. If he didn't throw away Abraham, David, he didn't even throw away Lot. You think, go back to the story of Lot, and Abraham was like looking at Sodom and Gomorrah, and he was going, what if there's 50 righteous people, or 40? And then he said 30, and then finally he said, what if there's 10 righteous people? Will you not destroy the city? And God said, I won't destroy it for 10. But there wasn't even 10 righteous people in the city. But God went on Abraham's behalf and got Lot out. And I read the story of Lot and go, why? Right? Why was Lot so important? And I think about that myself too. Why am I important to God? What, I don't do anything. I'm not making huge waves in the world. I'm not making huge changes in people's lives. I'm not I'm barely holding it together most days myself, right? I got stuff going on just like all y'all got stuff going on. And yet God says, I want to walk through time with you. He doesn't throw us away. And that today just meant a lot to me as I was trying to sort through all these imperfect people that he walked with that we read about in the Bible. The people who flat out disobeyed him, the people who completely denied that they even knew him, people who didn't know him at all and didn't want to know him at all. And yet he came to Hagar. He came to the woman at the well and shared that he was the Messiah, talked about worship, and she was one of the most, what's the right word to use, society. He wasn't even supposed to go through Samaria to begin with. And secondly, she was a woman and he was talking to her by himself. And yet he shared his heart with her. He said, I have to go through Samaria. And the only thing he did while he was in Samaria is talk to this lady that society had rejected. She'd been married 6 times, was living with someone, and he didn't care. He just said, she began to ask him, so are we supposed to worship God here? Or are we supposed to worship God there? Women weren't even allowed to talk in church back then. They sat over on the side. They had no input. They had no opportunity. And yet here he is talking about worship, which was something super super dear to his heart. Because that's, when Satan came to tempt Jesus in the wilderness, when he got to the worship part, Jesus said, that's enough. That's enough. He said, I don't care about the other parts. But when he said, well, if you'll just worship me, he said, oh, no, that we're done now. Go away. We don't talk about worship, because worship is a I don't know what's a whole. It's a holy thing, right? Worshiping God is really a holy thing, and so. But he talked about worship with this lady at the well that we don't even have her name. There's a lot of no-name people in the Bible that God went out of his way for. And that just encouraged me this morning that God hasn't thrown me away. And I hope it encourages you this morning to know God hasn't thrown you away. He doesn't toss you to the side because you don't have it all together. He doesn't say, I'll come back when you figure it out. He walks through time with us. He goes through the lion's den, the fiery trials with us. Isaiah, we can read Isaiah 43. We read that one a lot. I like that one though. And where he talks about, when you go through these things, I'm going through them with you, right? He says, thus says the Lord who created you. God created you. He put you right here in time. You didn't just happen, right? And he who formed you, O Israel. Remember, we've read Psalm 139 where he says he knew us when we were in the womb, when we were just a bunch of tissue trying to grow some fingers and toes and a nose, right? He watched us form. But this says he formed us. Fear not, I've redeemed you. I've called you by your name, and you are mine. That's what he's saying to us today, is that we're his. And he's not worried about all this extra stuff that sometimes keeps us from seeking him because we think we're not good enough. But God's saying, forget all that. I just want to know you. I want to come to the well where you're just getting water. I want to be a part of just your natural day. You know, I want to interrupt your wilderness experience with a burning bush like he did Moses. Moses wasn't perfect. Moses killed a dude, right? And he was on the backside of the wilderness because he was running and trying to stay away from Pharaoh because he had killed someone, right? I've called you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I'll be with you. And through the rivers, they won't overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned, nor shall the flame scorch you, for I am the Lord your God. He's not ashamed to go, yeah, I'm your God. I got your back. I got you six. I got you. I got you. That just gave me so much comfort and peace today. Just, I reassured myself, and so I'm just sharing with you. So maybe you've got it all together and don't need to hear it, right? But it just reassured me that God's got me and God's got you. He knows where you are. He knows who you are. He knows your heart, whether you want him to or not, technically, right? But what a joy there is when you open up your heart and go, yeah, I want to know you too, God. Right? Because he knows who we are, what makes us us, what makes us unique, and he loves that about us. It's just cool that God wants to know us. It's just cool that he wants to spend time with us. Doesn't have to. He could say, y'all are weird. Y'all are crazy. Whew, y'all are, but he wants to. And that's what gave me peace this morning. That's what brought me comfort and a little bit of joy this morning. Just knowing that God has not abandoned us here on January 26th, 2023. He still got us. He still gives us his peace so you can peace out. He still gives us his joy. He still he still loves us. He still wants to be with us. As crazy as this world is, he still wants us. He still wants you. Have a great day. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.